Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to FN News Now. Today we'll be covering UFC 193 Ronda Rousey vs. Holly Holm. My name is Maddie Arquette, and I will be analyzing and deciphering the spectacular dream-making match.
Let's look at some of the stats on each of the contenders. The UFC champion Ronda Rousey is a very gifted fighter. Her hours of dedication to her title and record wins have clearly shown that. But what makes a fighter great? Well, based off Rousey's mass, her fist is not something you would want to come in contact with. Her strength as a fighter and strenuous training has led to her body to have both speed and accuracy. Scientifically speaking, since Newton's second law of motion states that an object's force equals the mass of the object times its acceleration, when Rousey goes in with a kick, the sheer force created by the size and speed of her leg is devastating.
Looking at both of these incredible fighters demonstrate both physical supremacy and scientific power is quite extraordinary. Let's relate it to the basic fundamental rule that anyone, even an MMA fighter, can demonstrate. Holly Holm is a gifted boxer. Her title and numerous victories are enough evidence. Like many sports, however, boxing can be very exhausting. So what gives Holm such an advantage? Well, according to Newton's first law of motion, an object at rest stays at rest until an external force is acted upon it. If we take that principle and apply it to Holm's fighting techniques, it illustrates how much energy is needed to get her fist moving towards her target. Once on course, however, an unbalanced force is required to stop her hand's motion. That object just happens to be her opponent. Once her fist hits her target, the force of the impact is left on her opponent, with dramatic consequences. I bet you're wondering how people can make a career out of this. All the training and physical stress from fighting can beat a person up, quite literally, due to Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So why don't fighters become severely injured when they punch someone? The answer is simple. The reason that champions can come out on top of a fight without a self-inflicted scratch is not only because of their skill, but their ability to inflict a lot of damage and receive hardly any. Since the fighter's arm is attached to a larger body, it absorbs some of the opposite force. The second reason is because the opposite force just neutralizes the force created by the fighter. Because of this, there is a lesser effect on the fist than on the target, leaving the hand virtually intact. Sometimes, however, if the punch or kick isn't supported well enough, it can cause serious damage to the fighter throwing it. Well, that's all we have for today on this episode of FN News Now. This is Maddie Arquette reporting. Have a good night.